It's the matchup we've all been waiting for. Former Astros shortstop Carlos Correa may or may not play, but current Astros shortstop Jeremy Peña will definitely play. Who's having a better season? Well, it may look like Jeremy Peña is having a pretty darn good season, and he's playing for pennies on a dollar of what Carlos Correa is getting. And we're going to be talking to Nash Walker of the Locked On Twins. I think that's what you call your team podcast. And we're going to have a great old time on this edition of the Locked On Astros and Locked On Twins podcasts.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Astros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can I find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on Twitter and Instagram, and at Astros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, especially when we're playing the Twins. Always Stros.
All right. Are we talking about the same Twins that can't win
Probably
okay,
Ooh,
let me not go there.
He started with the jugular. I'm like, God, you're gonna fret me. Like, leave me in.
All right. So
Buy me dinner first. Jeez.
Nash Walker, where can he find you at?
You can find me at Nash Walker 9 on Twitter. I think Astros fans sometimes don't want to hear about Correa. At least now it seems like a really touchy subject, but you can definitely read about Carlos Correa at Nash Walker 9 on Twitter.
All right. Yeah. So I know his season so far has been a little bit ups and down, but you want to handle those ups and downs, Astros fans. Why don't you check out the Locked On Astros podcast on YouTube? We'll help you deal with the Carlos Correa blues. He's been gone for a while. You should be over it. We got this bright, shiny new shortstop in Jeremy Peña. He has these walk-off hits. He has these clutch hits. What else do you want? You want somebody that keeps on fracturing his finger or like hurting his back.
Yeah.
But anyway, so check out the Locked On Astros podcast on YouTube. Make sure you go and subscribe to us. Make sure you listen to us on your way home to work, on your way to work, wherever you do. Just check us out on Apple, Spotify, Odyssey, and check out Nash over at the Locked On Twins podcast because he does a great job as well. With that being said, in all seriousness, it seems like with Carlos Correa, he's fitting in really well over there with the Twins. A lot of people felt like this was going to be I know we're talking about pitching, but I wanted to kind of address this real quick. A lot of people felt like this would be a one and done for Carlos Correa. He would go get the bigger money, the longer term deal. Do you feel like he's here for the full 3 years?
I mean, no, I think everybody who's realistic about it understands that this is a 1-year deal, right? That Correa is going to play out this year. And if things go well for him, which Twins fans are hoping they do, that he's going to opt out and he'll get into free agency. And I think that was accepted right away. And what I always say to Twins fans is, would you rather have Carlos Correa for a year or not have Carlos Correa at all? And that was the reality with this contract. You know, the Twins have never paid a free agent more, I think, than $50 million. Josh Donaldson signed for $92 million. They traded the second half of that contract. So they never actually paid him $92 million. So the reality is, until they step up and offer a contract that someone like Carlos Correa would demand, it's not realistic for Twins fans. And I think that's understood. And I think I've accepted that, as much as it sucks, because he is so fun to watch play at short. And you guys have watched him for so many years at shortstop, and then really starting to put it together at the plate before he got hit in the finger. At Camden, was on, I think, 5 or 6 game hitting streak, hitting for some power. And finally at the plate was starting to find his stride after a late spring. So he was putting it all together. And I think the impact he's made, you guys know, just as a leader and who he is, I think you're right, Eric. He's fit in really well, at least from what we've heard and seen. I think he really likes playing with Byron Buxton. And I think he really has enjoyed his time so far, if what he's saying is true. And I think the team, at least, looks like more of a collective unit than last year. And I think Carlos is actually a big part of that, given that he only signed a month ago, I think it was, or a little over a month ago now.
You know, that's one of the things that Houston fans liked about Carlos Correa is he really embraced the city of Houston. That's why I think a lot of people were surprised that he
I
signed with the
was.
Twins. I mean, the players were like, wait, huh, the Twins? Like, where did that come from? And the bottom line is this: Carlos Correa is that guy that you want in the clubhouse, that the second he steps in, you listen to what he says.
Yep.
And that's, I think, the comfortable thing for the Twins is even with Byron Buxton, who Buxton is an interesting player because I think without the injuries, you're talking about one of the top 4 all-around players in all of baseball. But yet the injury word hangs over his head. And a lot of the injuries aren't like what a typical injury-prone player gets, or like soft tissue. A lot of it's incidental and
Mm-hmm.
almost accidental. And that's what a lot of people, I think, when they mischaracterize Byron Buxton as injury prone, I don't think they're true quote unquote injuries. Like if a guy's always pulling a hamstring every 2 or 3 times a year, that's an issue, right? But Buxton just has had some bad luck. But when he's healthy, I mean, this guy in the lineup is just, he can absolute crush pitching. He can catch anything hit his way. He's an unbelievable athlete. And I think he's probably underappreciated outside of Minnesota for that reason.
Yeah, and this is a great way to segue into the series preview as well, if we want to start with him, because he's been banged up, as you say, always banged up, Brad, right? And that's just kind of the Byron Buxton's career. It's unfortunate, but yes, when he's healthy. I certainly in 22 years have never seen a player like him. Been a baseball fan my whole life, and definitely not with the Twins. I mean, we've had some good play. Joe Mauer is a great player. Justin Morneau, we've had Torrey Hunter. Byron Buxton, nobody does what he does offensively and defensively and on the base paths, anybody I've seen when he's healthy. And I think that's why the injuries are so frustrating. But just I think about him, like for him, he doesn't get to play. Like that's the biggest thing. He rehabs more than he plays, and that sucks for him. He's been banged up. He did not play yesterday. He played Saturday, left with a hip problem. Sounds like he might play tomorrow. If not tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. But you're talking about a guy when he plays changes the outlook of a season, right? Changes everything if he's healthy, I think, because he has that much impact on the Twins. You've seen it in their record when he starts. They're, I think, 101 win team over the last 3 years. And when he doesn't, they're like a 70, 75 win team.
Wow.
So whether he plays in this series is vital to the outcome of it, I think. And, I think the Twins have played a lot of losing teams so far. They're 18-11, and the AL Central looks weak again. The White Sox are starting to find their stride, and the Twins swept them at Target Field, which is always great. We love beating the Sox. Loved when the Astros beat the Sox last year, by the way, in the playoffs. But I think they're going to finally get a test here of a truly elite team in the American League. I think everybody views the Astros that way. And they're going into Target Field where the Twins are 9-0 in their last 9 games. But again, the Tigers are 8-20, and they swept the Tigers. The White Sox were beat up and struggling, and then they just swept the A's. So the competition hasn't been there, but I think this is a really good test for a Twins team that people are trying to figure out if they're legitimate or not. Buxton is a huge part of that this week.
What about Carlos Correa? What's his outlook?
Yeah, not going to play tomorrow. Unlikely for tomorrow. When he said 6 or 7 days, I was like, is that 6 or 7 days from now? Or are we talking like 6 or 7 days total? But I think you guys know, too, he was trying to get in the lineup the next day. I think there was just a sigh of relief that it's not broken.
Right.
And, however soon he comes back, whether that's later this week or early next, I think that's gravy for Twins fans, because I was mentally prepared for him to miss, 4 to 6 weeks here in May and into June. So I don't expect him to play in this series. Maybe he plays the Thursday day game if things go well, but he still has not swung a bat. I think he was going to try to swing a bat today with the finger, but not broken, which is great news. And I don't know if he's going to come back this series. I don't expect him to at least play in the first 2 games.
So you're not betting on that happening. Speaking of betting, let's talk about BetOnline.
So, betonline.net is the place to go for all your sports wagering needs, and you don't need to go anywhere else. You go to betonline.net. Why? They get the numbers first. I mean, we've even talked to their guys. They've got this great site. It has blogs, it has podcasts, it has information that you need. If you were all over the Kentucky Derby and that 80-1 winner who came from 13th all the way to first, you probably went to BetOnline and got some good information about that, whether it's UFC, NBA playoffs going on right now, which are extremely close. They're blowouts, they're close games. You can do, player props. You can vote on who's going to win Rookie of the Year. Is it going to be this hot pitcher out of, Joe Ryan out of Minnesota? Is it going to be Jeremy Peña? You can go check that out. and just see what is out there for you for everyone. And you can use your mobile device, or you can go to your computer and go to betonline.net. Remember, tell them Locked On sent you. It's where the game starts.
We love BetOnline, Brett. We love them.
They're awesome. I mean, I've only ever betted with them, and hey, it's been good. That's all I'm going to say. It's been good.
So definitely, if you like to get the definitely watch the Locked On Now podcast, because after tomorrow's game, you're going to hear Brett or myself say, yay, the Astros won. And you're going to hear like 30 to 40 seconds of Nash crying about how Joe Ryan gave up 3 home runs and he lasted 2/3 of innings.
I love this setup. Playing with house money.
Yeah, the Locked On Now podcast is a great way to just get information from what's going around on this great sport of baseball. So check it out. So I don't know why I'm bashing on you.
Man, all I know is Eric chose violence today, and I'm sitting here. I'm usually the guy that's like the Bregman of the group, or I'm trying to like poke the bear and upset people. But I want to ask you about this. When I look at the pitching, the overall rankings, okay, in FanGraphs, I'm not going to go over every category, but almost every category, Houston and Minnesota are right next to each other. They are neck and neck. And going into this series, the last 15 games, we're both 12-3. And we rank overall Houston's 10th, Minnesota's 11th. I mean, these teams look almost identical, it seems like, across the board when it comes to, saves. We have 8 saves. Y'all have 7. Ks per 9, we're under y'all. We have 8.11. Y'all have 9.25. But when you look at things like xFIP and stuff like that, I mean, whatever you guys are doing over there in Minnesota, whatever water they're drinking from this year, it seems to be really working. And it seems like it's head up by this Joe Ryan kid.
Yeah. Hey, can I throw something out there real quick that's going to really throw something out? Quality starts by the Houston Astros, 13. The Twins only have 6. The Astros ERA overall, 2.95. The Twins, 3.11.
Wow.
That says something.
Yeah, I mean, the bullpen's been really good, especially the last couple of weeks. I know Houston, their bullpen's been awesome too, especially getting Presley back. We know him very well, certainly from Minnesota. But yeah, Joe Ryan came up last year, of course, came over in the Nelson Cruz deal. The Cruz trade hurt. When I tell you it hurt for someone who was only a Twin for 3 years, that hurt badly for Twins fans because he was an instant fan favorite, somebody everybody loved. That sucks. And I know as Astros fans, you guys know him from the Rangers days. But losing Nelson Cruz sucked. To get Joe Ryan back and to have him show up in the second half of the year, pitch the way he did down the stretch, and then had a bad start against Detroit, but brought a no-hitter into the 7th against Cleveland, just showed us everything we needed to see, I think, to get some hope for next year, or for this year. At that point, it was next year that maybe we had something in the rotation with Bailey Ober and Joe Ryan. And then so far this year, he pitched the lights out at Fenway. I know Boston's been struggling offensively, and then just shut down the Tigers at Target Field. He has an invisible. So when you guys watch tomorrow, you're going to see, 91, 92, might get up to 93, 94 with this fastball. But I think Astros hitters, at least maybe early on, are going to get under that pitch because his arm slot is so low. He was a water polo player. So his arm slot is so low that the ball is literally on a ramp. And I'm sure they'll show up broadcast tomorrow too. His fastball is so deceptive. And I think the question has been like, how's this off-speed stuff going to progress? He threw 65% fastballs last year and still was successful, but you can't really do that unless you throw, even though the fastball has, has that rising effect, unless you throw 95, 90, unless you're Carlos Rodon or Robbie Ray, you have to throw off-speed stuff. And his slider has been the biggest development this year. I think it's unlocked new upside for him. You're going to see sliders against Bregman and Altuve. His changeup, he's going to toss in there. He's going to flip in some curves against, Yordan and Kyle Tucker. But it starts and ends with the fastball with him. If Houston comes out with a good plan tomorrow, and last week the Orioles ramped up their hitting machine to have rising fastballs, maybe the Astros do that. But their first time seeing him, I'm very curious to see how they respond to that fastball. When you guys watch tomorrow, you might be like, why can't they hit this pitch? If they're getting under it, they're fouling it back, fouling middle fastball is back, but his command is great. He doesn't walk anybody and just throws that fastball wherever he wants when he's on. So he's been so fun to watch, so poised, so calm. And I think, hopefully it's him and Peña, neck and neck for a lot of the year in the American League Rookie of the Year race. That would be something to watch.
The
So do you
Astros,
see?
the Astros have 2 secret weapons in tomorrow's game. You know who it is?
Who's that?
Justin Verlander. He's not really a secret weapon, but Nico
I think I know
Goodrum.
him. I think I know Verlander.
Yeah, Nico Goodrum in 2 career at-bats has 2
Yes.
home runs
Yes.
and 4 RBIs.
You're right. I remember because that with Tiger's start was his start at Target Field, and I remember Nico hit 2, and Nico's a former Twin as well. So
Man.
Yeah, Verlander, I'm excited. This is going to be fun. I think this is a fun matchup. Justin Verlander, the last time he pitched at Target Field, it was a 1-0 Twins win in 2019. I don't know if you guys remember that. E-Ray Adrianza hit a solo homer. I think that was early. That might have been in May as well back then. But Verlander, we know him from the Central. He's tough as nails. I want to ask you guys, I haven't watched him pitch this year. Is he back up to the mid-90s and just lights out?
He is. And, there's a lot of people who are trying to not be too excited because he is 39 coming off Tommy John. No one's ever done this at his age and come back the way he's come back. I mean, he is an absolute android on the mound. Chris Castellani, last night we had him on. He said, I think he's one of the Terminator robots because, right now, Nash, he should be 4-0. He didn't get run support for the ones where he got losses or no decisions. He absolutely should be 4-0. And I think he's got to be one of the leading candidates to win the Cy Young right now. Now, I know it is May 9th or May 10th if you're listening. I get that. But they are limiting his innings and his outings by the 6-man rotation. And although we've heard rumblings that Justin Verlander doesn't like the 6-man rotation, he's going to reach the 130 inning plateau. He's actually thrown, I think, more than any other pitcher right now in the major leagues. He's thrown more innings in an outstanding success. Either if he's comeback player of the year and runner up for Cy Young, I'm fine with that. But this is the Justin Verlander we missed last year. He actually said in the press that he considered coming back for the World Series. And him and the doctors talked, and they said there was too much disadvantage coming back. And I'm glad he didn't because the Astros were only competitive in a couple of those games. And I think it would have been all for nothing. And you would have risked him not being who he is right now.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him back at Target Field.
Yeah, he already has 31 strikeouts and 32 2/3 innings pitch. He's just pitching like he never left, a 1.93 ERA. He's already got a 1 WAR, 0.70 WHIP. So yeah, he's got 8.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. So yeah, you're gonna see vintage Verlander tomorrow or today, and you're gonna be surprised. It's gonna look like he did not have Tommy John surgery. It's gonna look like he's 25, 26 again. Just
wow.
So
he's incredible.
And that's been the key to these victories. So this 7-game win streak at home, we haven't had a ton of power, but we've had timely hitting. And the pitching has been absolutely lights out. I mean, this Montero was not the main piece of the Toro and Graveman trade, but now I call it the Rafael Montero trade because he has been an absolute gem, diamond in the rough. And this guy's pitching his butt off. Presley's back. And the back end of our bullpen, I would put it up against just about anybody.
Yeah, we know Brian Presley, that trade. There's someone you'll see in this series who was in that trade. Gilberto Celestino has filled in very nicely for Byron Buxton in center field. 60 grade defender as a prospect and is actually hitting a little bit this year too. So he's been fun to watch. And I know that deal still kind of irks Twins fans a little bit. But Celestino, Jorge Alcala, who's on the 6-day injured list with an elbow problem. Celestino has played well, and you might see him in this series.
Ryan Presley was the right part for our bullpen. And, speaking of having the right parts for your bullpen, what about the right parts for your automobile?
Rock Auto.
Go to RockAuto.com.
That's right, RockAuto.com. It's now impossible to go to the auto parts store or the car dealer and find the parts you need because they have like 1 or 2 options. They're like, are you a mechanic? No. Okay, we're going to upcharge you. Like, who wants that? And plus, my car doesn't work. So why would I I'm going to walk to the store? No, I'm going to go online. I'm going to type in RockAuto.com. Why? Because I want to trust a place that's owned by a family for 20 years. And not only that, you can save 30, 50, sometimes 100% on your auto parts. That's right. And I've looked at these parts. I mean, the price differential is almost criminal. You wonder, like, how are they making any money? They're getting you reliably low prices with an amazing website. And for every customer, brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil. If you're driving around that VW van from the 60s that your great grandfather drove in his hippie days and he needs new carpet, man, grab that and check that out. Go explore their easy to use website today and find the solution for your auto parts needs, whether it's a jacked up truck or it's a car, or I don't even know what they drive up there in Minnesota. I don't know, Volvos or Subarus. I don't know what y'all drive up there, but we drive trucks down here in Texas, and they got all the parts you ever need, lift kits, whatever you need. So do this. Go to rockauto.com when you check out and you get the parts you need, right? Locked on there. How did you hear about us box so that they know that we sent you? Amazing selection, reliable low prices, and all the parts your car will never need.
Ever need. RockAuto.com.
That's right. That's right.
We've done that a few times in our day, guys.
That's right. Yeah, no, I don't know what Minnesotans drive.
Minnesota.
I don't know it. Minnesota is that how you say it, or am I insulting the fan
We don't
base?
say y'all, that's for sure.
Hey, you know what? You know what? Back in the day when I was a freshman in high school, my grandmother lived in Merritt, British Columbia. My cousins took me around town like I was their token Texan, and they were like, "Say y'all," and I'd go, "Y'all, hey y'all," and I would draw it out,
Like a
and they
cowboy.
like, oh man, they thought that we rode horses on dirt roads and went to a red
Wow.
schoolhouse. Yeah, that was. I'm like, nah, bro, we got cars, we got rap music. I mean, we're down,
Oh yeah, for sure. I know you've been working on that too, Brett.
Yeah, been trying, man, been trying. Proud to be a Texan. Here's the thing. Truth be known, I wasn't born in Texas. I'm jealous of every Texan born in Texas, especially my kids. I was born in Florida, but you know what? I wasn't born here, but I got here as soon as I could.
You're a Texan through and through.
All right. So looking at people that have had success against Verlander, just kind of close out game one. Carlos Correa actually has a home run. He's batting 500 in 10 at bats. I guess that's when he used to play for the Tigers. Then you also have Polanco with one home run, but he's batting 182. And then you have Byron Buxton with a home run, but he's batting 167 in 12 at bats. So outside of Correa, there's not a lot of, and we already know he's not going to play in that game. So it wasn't even worth my breath. So let's do prediction time. What do we think is going to happen in game one?
Yeah, I think the Astros take 2 out of 3 here. I'm not just saying that to you guys. I said it on my podcast as well. I think because, Buxton's dinged up, Correa's not going to play. I think the Twins get 1 out of 3 this week. And I think that would be a reasonable outcome for them. I'll take Verlander in game one and, getting ahead of ourselves. I think the Twins grab one of the next 2, hopefully. I mean, I think you're trying to avoid a sweep here without Correa. The Twins, I think, at home have been great, but this is a true test, definitely. And this is a team, too, like my expectations have definitely changed. They're 18-11. And I think they can get into this playoff field. Absolutely, I think, in the American League. But I also go back to my expectations before the season, and they were below where the Astros were. So I think the Astros are a superior opponent, and I have them taking 2 out of 3 this week.
The thing I do like is that the Twins have been playing good, that they do really have an identical record. So you have 2 hot teams coming in against each other. It is in Target Field. The Astros have had some pretty wild success up there at Target Field. You remember the game where he scored 16, 17 runs? I mean, it was basically a barn burner. So our hitters have had success there. Like you said, it's going to be tricky to see how they do against Ryan on the mound. It's funny you use that word invisible because that's what Christian Javier's calling card is and was when he kind of rose up to his stardom in 2020 in the COVID shortened season. And he kind of lost it a little bit, and then he became a reliever. Now he's back in the starting role, and he's really starting to find his groove. So that's interesting that you guys have the same guy kind of countering that. And I think it's going to be 2-3. I can see the Astros sweeping, but I think with their offense not being consistent yet, that the Twins are a team where the Tigers were 1 for 31 with runners in scoring position. Chris Castellani said if they get 2 hits in that, they win possibly 2 games. They split the series. So if it's going to be something like that, you've got to put up more than 2 or 3 runs, I think, against the Twins, because the Twins may expose you where a Tigers team couldn't. Because if you guys get base runners, more than likely you're going to bring them home. So I don't think it's a clean sweep. I think it's 2-3. It's possible, but the Twins are a much better team than the Tigers obviously are.
Yeah, if you look at the second game, it's going to be Jose Urquidy versus Chris Archer. Chris Archer that the Astros were supposed to trade for so many times and never happened.
Same guy, Eric. It's the same guy.
I know. And so Chris Archer's looks like he's doing pretty good this year. Is that just, or is it smoke and mirrors, or is he looking pretty good so far?
No, he's been solid for them. I think the command's iffy at times as it has been in his career, but the slider's still 89, 90. He's still tough on righties. And hasn't had the length because he's not throwing as many strikes. So 4 or 5 innings out of Archer, and those 4 and 5 innings have been pretty good all year.
And then game 3, it's gonna be Luis Garcia versus Josh Winder, and that's he looks like he's doing really good, 2-0 with a 1.61 ERA with 20 strikeouts.
I'm ready to see the rocking of Luis Garcia on Thursday afternoon.
The cha-cha-cha.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you saw me post it. If you haven't, I'll try to find it and repost it. There's a kid locally in a little league kid pitch league. He looks like he's 9 or 10. He's wearing like this Hooks jersey. They're obviously the minor leagues for little league, and he does the Luis Garcia motion.
Awesome.
And Apollo Media put them like right next to each other, and
nice.
that is one of the most unique things that I've ever seen. And he really has burst on the scene. If there's any other pitcher on this staff that would get votes from the 30 voters or so that vote on the Cy Young, I think Luis Garcia is someone that could garner some votes and some respect this year because he's very, very good.
Yeah, good young starting pitching, and Josh Winder too, Twins top prospect, has debuted this year, plus fastball. He's reached 95, 96 with a fastball, good hard slider. Slider's his best pitch, I think. And then, throws a curveball in there for strikes. Changeup is potentially plus as well. And he was a command guy in the lower 90s, added some velocity, and now his ceiling is broken through for the Twins. And he's been awesome. I was high on Josh Winder coming into the season. Twins fans didn't get to see him a whole lot last year because he was shut down with a shoulder problem later. But this is, like I said, a test for the Twins. But man, is this a test for Joe Ryan and Josh Winder. Maybe their biggest test, I think, definitely for Winder at the major league level. Ryan pitched last year, but this is, I think, the biggest test for those two young starters. You just look at 1 through 6 for the Astros. And I think with Correa too in there last year it's so fun for me, who always loves to see right, left, right, left, right, left. And it's fun to see the Astros line up when you have Altuve and then Brantley and Bregman and Alvarez and Gurriel. And I think the lineup balance has been such a plus and has been a great thing for them, of course, on this stretch where they've won so many games in the last handful of years. So this is a big test for the young starters, young right-handed starters. The biggest key in this series for me on the Twins side is Byron Buxton. Does he play? Is he not hampered? Good to go. And then on the Astros side, I think Yordan Alvarez is the catalyst in that. I think he's the guy you look at. And if you can try to hold him down at least a little bit in run scoring situations, that's at least going to give you a chance to get outs in the rest of the lineup. And they got a ton of guys who can hit. We know that. But I think Alvarez is the one I look at who can really, really, really destroy a series.
Yeah, and he's been hot recently. He had 4 home runs in 5 games or a 5-game stretch. So yeah,
right. I don't like that.
He could get hot pretty quickly.
So
Nelson Cruz, Big Papi, he's that type of hitter.
So I have a question, just real quick, 15, 20 seconds. What is the buzz about Alvarez in Minnesota? Is he a respected opponent? Do not many people know about him?
I think if you follow baseball regularly, you know who he is. I don't know if he's nationally recognized yet as like a true superstar.
Yeah,
makes sense.
But I see him that way because I watch every day, and I watch. I watch the Astros. I follow the Astros. I follow Major League Baseball, so I know about Yordan. But I think a casual fan may not completely know about him yet, but they will.
Yes. Yeah, so I think this is definitely a big playoff matchup. I think we could these two teams could meet in the playoffs. So this will be a good test for both teams. And
different expectations we have.
Yes. So hopefully the Astros are playing a lot better than they did beginning of the season, because at beginning of the season, it was like, where are the bats? Why can't we pitch? And all of a sudden, everything just kind of came back in place. So, Nash, tell us where they can find your podcast and where can they find you on Twitter?
Yeah, Locked On Twins. Wherever you get Locked On Astros, you can find Locked On Twins. I'm going to do a season or a series that's going to post as well. So if you want to hear that, and then, always check out Eric and Brett for your Locked On Astros coverage as well. But at Nash Walker 9 on Twitter, and then wherever you get your Locked On Astros, you can get Locked On Twins.
All righty. Well, thank you for joining us, Nash. And my name is Eric Huysman. His name is Brett Chancey, and we are the Locked On Astros podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us, and make sure you check out our friend Sully over at the Locked On MLB podcast. He does a great job analyzing all the different games around baseball and talking about what's good about baseball, what's bad about baseball, and all that. So go check out Sully at the Locked On MLB, and we'll be back after the Astros, hopefully, beat the Twins in game 1, and Justin Verlander pitches 7 shutout innings or something.
No on that. Yes on Sully. Thanks, guys.
All right, Coach Rose.